Singers, welcome back to the weekly warm-up. I'm Laura, and today we're talking about bad singing advice. Now, when I say bad advice, I'm really thinking about advice that falls into one of two categories. The first is just plain bad advice, but the second is a little more complicated. It's really well-intentioned advice that might be grounded in fact, but is inadequately or incorrectly explained so that it causes more harm than good. And that's definitely the category that our first piece of bad advice falls into, which is to breathe from your diaphragm. Now, I'm sure that there are many of you thinking, I've been told to breathe from my diaphragm. Here's the fact. Your diaphragm is the primary muscle of inhalation. You are definitely breathing from your diaphragm, no matter how shallow or unhelpful your breath is. It's happening already, so it's sort of redundant advice. But also, the diaphragm is not a muscle that is under our conscious control, and thinking that we can control it tends to lead to overactivity in the upper abdominal muscles, which are not particularly helpful for singing. If we want to support our singing with abdominal muscles, then we really want to look more to the muscles of the lower abdomen and way down into the pelvic floor, in addition to the muscles of the ribs, the intercostal muscles, and the muscles of the back. So we've got all of these muscles that can helpfully participate in a breath that's going to be super supportive for singing. But thinking about the diaphragm actually is quite misleading and will lead you to be overactive in some of the only abdominal muscles that are not really helpful. The second piece of unhelpful advice is yawn space. So we're often told to imagine yawning when we want to activate and lift the soft palate. But the problem comes into the sort of direction of the palate. So when we yawn, we tend to feel the palate spreading back and wide. And for singing resonance and to kind of get that great space that we need, that lift in the palate, it really is more helpful to create a lift that is slightly farther forward on the palate and lifting upward and forward. Something like biting an apple, or maybe the feeling that happens when you smell wasabi. It's kind of a more up and forward lift. And by thinking about yawning and getting that kind of locked back, stretched feeling in the palate, we can create a situation where we're unable to pronounce our text clearly, and our voice has a really fuzzy sound, and we often end up with a lot of tuning issues and tension. Okay, number 3 is one that I have told you myself, and this is to keep your tongue on your teeth as you sing. Now wait, I actually think that tongue on the teeth is terrific advice, but you have to know that I mean keep your tongue on your teeth, and by that I mean the tip of the tongue on the back of the bottom teeth only on vowels. Unfortunately, I feel like when singers hear this, they sort of take, it's too much of a good thing. And they think, I must need to keep my tongue touching the back of my bottom teeth all the time. But then when it comes to pronouncing text, they're unable to clearly pronounce because the tongue needs to move into a number of different positions to make clear consonants. So this is not really, I'm not kind of refuting putting your tongue on your teeth, but I want to kind of refine it and make sure that you know, yes, keep your tongue on the back of your bottom teeth, but only on vowels. And when it comes to making consonants, move that tongue up to do its job and then just put it back into its parking space on those teeth. Now finally, number 4, this is our piece of just crummy advice. I don't often like to say that there are ideas that are totally wrong, but this one is absolutely absurd. And it is the idea of squeezing your butt cheeks, especially to reach high notes. So this is something that I see as a bad habit in so many people. And I am always horrified when I find out that they're actually doing it because they've received this as vocal advice. So I think maybe this started out as an idea that we need kind of support from below. And I guess our rear ends are below our heads. But this is not good advice. As I said earlier in the video, if we want to create support in the abdomen, it comes from the lower abdominal muscles and the pelvic floor. The gluteus maximus is not a participant in that activity, and squeezing your butt cheeks together is only going to misalign your body and create tension. So that is not helpful. If you've ever been told to pinch a penny between your butt cheeks, You can just let go of that advice today. It is not helpful. Relax those cheeks and sing on. So thank you for being with me today. I really appreciate your time. If you liked the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel so you can come back next Thursday and every Thursday for more clear, fun voice education that hopefully does not include any bad advice.